And we're live.
Happy Halloween, everyone.
Happy Halloween. I'm dressed up as me, and Kelly's dressed up as a Greek goddess, Egyptian princess, angelic figure.
I'll take it.
Well,
I
it says,
hadn't defined it, so I like your definition.
there you go. Well, it's as close
Works
as
for me.
I think it's as close as we're gonna get for tonight.
Yeah.
Oh. So, hi Rhonda. You're here on
Hi,
time.
Rhonda.
We were running a little bit late. Sid is refusing to go to bed from a peak amount of sugar today, so that's entertaining.
Did they go trick or treating? Is there
Yeah.
trick or treating?
Well, their mother took them from store to store to store, I guess, and the stores had drive-through trick-or-treating. I don't know. I don't know what they did.
Okay,
I'll never figure it out.
that's all right. Interesting decor. All right, I'm gonna take this off because it's making it hard to see.
Everything in Kelly's house is based on Alexa.
Well,
Alexa
not
can.
everything. Yeah, she can turn on all the lights and the thermostat.
Does she control the bathtub or like any of that?
No, that is the next step, isn't it? If Alexa could make my tea in the morning and turn on the bathtub, then life would be made.
Seriously,
Bathtub
like,
at night. I don't take a bath in the morning. Okay.
huh. Well, we're starting to learn Kelly's schedule for everybody who is wondering. Showers only in the morning and baths only at night, so we're getting there.
Basically.
We're hitting the crucial information time here.
So important.
My kids, they're killing me today with the sugar. Oh, it's torture sometimes. So, we're going to talk about spiritual burnout because I definitely had that this week. There's no doubt that I had that this week.
Yep.
And it crushed me. It creeped up on me. I didn't realize it. I was still giving out too much and just not taking enough in for myself. And with everything going on this week, it was just so overwhelming. And Thursday night, I crashed and I
Yep.
hit my spiritual floor. Um, not proud of the show I did Thursday night. And then yesterday was just complete. I was just exhausted. I was just so drained. Yes, I thought it was a very relatable topic. And when I woke up the second time this morning, the first thing I saw on Facebook was a article about spiritual burnout. So that's my way of getting signs apparently through social media.
The universe gives us signs everywhere. You just have to pay attention.
It definitely does. It always seems to be like those first things I notice. It's most like I used to ignore, but now I see them.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like I guess because now I'm open to it and looking and aware that I just grab them now.
I'm trying to find the article.
And here goes Sid, by the way. Here goes Sid. She's going again. Kelly, you're gonna run this one by yourself. I'll be right back.
Okay.
Enjoy.
Why don't
Find
we
the
why don't we bring Sid in on this? Clearly she needs some attention. Okay, so we're talking about spiritual burnout. And the article that Mike found that he sent this morning was talking about how we can go into feelings that feel a lot similar to depression when we are burned out spiritually. And he and I both kind of hit a wall this week for similar reasons. This is it's difficult to do this on your own to have this to for this not to be a conversation. It feels very one-sided. But come back, Mike.
I'm back. I'm back.
But what it social media is burning you out. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I understand the social media burnout. How did Kelly do alone? Was Kelly okay alone?
No, I was just rambling.
That's basically what it's like alone. Yes, it's constant rambling. Other than Rhonda, because Rhonda chirps in and helps, so it's not as bad.
That
But I don't
is nice.
see comments on your side or no?
No,
Not
not
at
until
all.
you came back.
Wow. Okay, not until I click on them. That's good to know
Yeah,
for ref, for
yeah,
future reference.
yeah. So I wasn't ignoring you, Rhonda. I just can't see the comments unless he puts them up. So,
Yes, depressed is part of it. I think physical exhaustion follows. I know ears ringing is definitely part of it. Like that really hit me this week. Like I was complaining to Kelly about that also.
but that was something that I thought was interesting about the. Oh, I did feel nervous. It's just uncomfortable. Um, the article was saying that the feelings are similar to depression, but in reality, if we're talking about spiritual burnout, it's not depression because we're, I don't,
It,
how did the
it's
article say it? It was very well put.
it was very well articulated, which neither of us are in a state to probably do it. Um,
No.
I basically it was more like symptoms of a depression, but not truly depressed. And it had something to do with just being empty, right? Like just not feeling full at all. And because of that emptiness, it kind of like simulates or feels like that depression feeling.
But maybe the difference is that it's more of a temporary thing that if you, um, depression is a demon. Yeah. Um, but if you, take the time to refuel and refill and, do the meditation and whatever, that it's like instantly gone, that whereas depression, is a real illness that doesn't just go away by meditating once. You know, it feels like depression when we're empty and have no energy, but in reality that it's just a temporary feeling until we recharge.
I agree. I think the way that it presented myself as the week went on, like in the beginning of the week, I was okay. And then as the week went on, I felt a little bit less, a little bit less. I needed to meditate more and more. And it was just, it wasn't feeling the same. It just like then the physical exhaustion kicked in, then the anxiety took over, then all my triggers kicked in that I normally don't fall uh I normally don't allow to control me the way they did.
Mm-hmm. So I was going to ask you, um, what do you think led up to yours? Like you had a big week, and so you were expelling a lot of energy on,
I mean, it was a combination of things, right? I don't think it's ever one thing. Like with the court case, that was a huge part of it, right? And then the week before, I was just really giving out a ton of my energy, a ton. And there were moments this past week that I gave out more energy than I should have also.
mm-hmm.
Um, and even though I removed myself from social media, I still my core group of people, right? I was still in constant contact with.
Yeah.
Um, and it's not like there's not a give and a take with everybody because there is, but sometimes people need more than what they can give at that time.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I have my moments of that too. I mean, me and you go back and forth with that all the time.
Mm-hmm.
It's
That balance of making sure that your cup is full before you're giving to other people, and we both have a hard time doing that.
this kid is just driving me nuts.
I knew you were listening.
Oh, it's true though. Balance, like what you just said, and apparently I do listen, even when I'm not paying attention. It's called being a parent, a single
Oh,
parent, Kelly. Like
mm,
you don't have to
I
look, you
don't.
don't
I
have to
don't understand that. Yeah.
not yet. You will. Maybe not a but you will. But it's I hear her yelling over the headphones. It's it really is that balance. And when you're not taking proper steps to fill yourself like you normally do, then there's nothing to replace it, right?
Yeah.
And even though me and you meditated a lot more this week, it was like these quick wham bam meditations, and they would give us for a little bit. And it wasn't really filling the gaps. Like it did for moments and it did for periods of time. But I think it was more than just, filling myself with the energy. It's just I wasn't centered. Like I
Mm.
wasn't fully centering myself. So I was taking the
Hmm.
energy, I was taking it in, but I wasn't centering myself as
So
much
like
as I
you go and get like a quick refill, but you're not actually in the mindset where you needed to be. Yeah.
do. I feel obligated to others. Um, I think I obligate myself to others. I don't think I'm the people pleaser I used to be. Um, I say no at times now. I still don't say it as good as I probably should.
I think in general that's the struggle of an empath, right? I mean, you put other people first. And
Yeah.
I know like we all have that, not we all, but as empaths, like we struggle with that constantly and we really have to put ourselves first if we're going to be able to give what other people need. And it feels selfish and unnatural. But if we don't take the time to fill up ourselves and get centered and be really balanced, then what we're giving other people isn't at the quality that it should be. And then we aren't. You disagree. And then,
No,
and then
no,
we are completely depleted. We get to the point where we hit the wall or whatever. I think, it feels selfish. It doesn't feel like what we're supposed, naturally. It doesn't working on yourself first doesn't feel like the right thing to do, but
I agree 100%. And it does feel selfish, right? It really does feel so selfish and unnatural.
at least in the beginning.
I haven't seen that change yet. I'll let you know when I see the change. But for now, it still feels that way. It really does. And especially if somebody really needs me at that moment, right? Like I know it. And at that moment, if somebody that's in my close circle needs me, I'm not
Yeah.
going to say no.
It's
I'm
so
just,
it's so true. It's really hard. Yeah.
I'm not going to say no because I feel like it's not really an obligation, although I don't think a responsibility is a better word, but I think it is a responsibility.
Yeah.
I've committed to the people that I trust and have in my circle that I'm going to be there for them. And I will. I feel this immense pressure. Yes, that's an empath issue for sure. The pressure, I think pressure is something we put on ourselves. So I don't necessarily think that it's an external pressure. I feel like it's an internal pressure. And I think we have control over how we react to things, no matter what the things are. And that's where pressure comes from, is how we choose to react to certain circumstances. Because even if you're in a sales job commission only, they can pressure you all they want, but you're not getting paid unless you get work, the deal closed. So I don't know if it necessarily is an external pressure. I think it's more of an internal pressure that can really take away from what you're meant to do.
Yeah, 100%. And not that there aren't those external pressures, and there definitely are people who put that external pressure on us, but if we don't figure out those boundaries, first of all, those people probably don't need to be in our lives. But regardless, we have to figure out the balance, right? Like we have to figure out how to put ourselves first. And I think for me, my struggle, I have really been doing the work and consistently, working on me and, really trying to maintain that balance. But at the same time, like you're saying, Mike, like if somebody who is in my circle needs something at that time, I drop everything, even that when it's not in my best interest. And that comes from my people pleasing side. Like there's no
Um,
other way to put it, like fear of disappointing someone.
yeah, I mean that's a big part of it. It really is. I don't want to disappoint anyone, especially somebody in my close circle, right?
Mhm.
Like I'm getting much better at saying no to people outside of my circle. Like, and that's gotten a lot easier for me. So I'm not really people pleasing those
That's good.
that don't reciprocate, right? Because I'm always looking for reciprocal relationships,
Hmm.
friend, any type of relationship, no matter what it is. And I feel like if they have been there for me, then I'm going to be there for them. And it's just no matter what the cost on me is at that moment. Um, and I don't know if that's an obligation. I don't know if that's bad boundaries. Um, I don't know if it's just a my way of looking at things, right? Like I know that I have to take care of me first. I know that I have to be okay, but I can't sit back and watch somebody who needs me and not be there for them if they do.
But I think the key, yeah, but if we go back to like the balance, right? If we spend the time on us first, then that's okay. I mean, that's our role. That as empaths, that's our gift, right? Like the when that becomes a negative is when we're not doing the work on ourselves first. And so that has to be the priority, that we are doing the work on ourselves consistently to find the balance so that when someone else calls us and needs us, we're in the position to help.
Well, and maybe that's why I get up at 30, right? Because it's usually before most other people I know, right?
Yeah,
I mean, there's probably another reason for it too, but I
we
feel
won't talk
like
about that tonight.
I think that's been spoken enough about this month. I feel like if I wake up early and I get my stuff done for the day, I mean, yes, with the three kids being a single dad, obviously that's a huge contributing factor also.
Yeah.
I've taken on this circle that I trust and that I adore and that I love and that are people that I want in my life in that capacity. And it gives me the ability, as long as I'm following my routine, that I'm already ready for the day. I'm already centered. I'm already in a space that I can handle it. Now, weeks like this past week where I was overtired because of all the stress and overtired because I was so overwhelmed, it got more difficult as the week went on to get up and do my routine.
Hmm.
Because I wasn't giving myself the rest I need. I wasn't
Yeah.
drinking enough water. I wasn't, whatever it might have been. I just, the self care slacked a little bit
Yeah.
and it just trickled down to everything I was doing.
And so, yeah, 100%. For me, the tricky thing for me was I didn't change my routine. I was still getting up and doing my and meditating first thing in the morning. I did the self-care. I was still spending a lot of time in meditation and still doing the work. Um, and I burned out anyway. And for me, it was a lack of boundaries. It was allowing myself to continue a relationship that I know, I don't want to say relationship, continue communication I know is not building me up, And so I and it just tore me down and tore me down and tore me down. And I didn't actually recenter until today when I held that boundary. And so I think that another side of this is really recognizing what the negatives are in your life. I mean, it's a full moon. That's what we're supposed to be doing, right? We're supposed to be recognizing those negative behaviors and the negative things in our life that we need to let go of. Talking to myself clearly. And let go. Like have to let go of those things that we know are no longer serving us and are not pointing us to our highest good.
Well, and okay, so I think that also, yes, awareness is key, Rhonda. I think it goes, oops, I keep hitting things. Uh, I keep hitting all sorts of comments over here. Um, I think it's deeper than that, and it's also simpler than that. At the same time,
Yeah.
there's I look at it as three layers to this, right? It's there's mind, soul, and mind, heart, and soul.
Okay.
So you look at it mental, emotional, and spiritual.
Uh-huh.
You call it whatever you want, right? Mind, heart, and body, mind, body, and soul. whatever you want to call.
Okay.
But because it was emotionally pulling you down, it created chaos mentally, which then uncentered all three.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that can that can happen to any of us at any point in time. And if you really break it down, that's what happened to me this week too,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because my head was off, which then triggered my heart to go off, which then triggered my spirituality to go off. For me, it always starts with my mind because once my mind is off, the rest is just it all falls apart. Keeping my clarity, keeping my logical mind, keeping my the chaos at bay is a big part of it for me. And I spent most of the week fighting myself,
Mm-hmm.
right? And fighting my fighting my habits and fighting my routines, right? Something didn't go my way. I wanted to start falling into habits, and I wanted to start um, emotionally just spewing and trying to prove my worth and prove my value
Yeah.
to people that have already seen my value.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
But you,
and
yeah, it's like not, it's totally not necessary. Yeah.
and I think for you, it was more of a emotional thing that triggered your mental part and then just started deteriorating you spiritually because you know it's not true to you, right? And we all have to find what's true to us,
Mm-hmm.
and for me, it usually gets triggered mentally. I'm just, like as long if I have mental clarity, then I can sort of control my emotional chaos. Like I can get a grasp on it or ignore it or whatever it is. But the minute that my mind goes into chaos, then the rest just goes out of it's just done.
Mm-hmm.
Because I can't fight to keep myself aligned.
Yeah.
And that's where I think the issue comes in. Yes,
An
one.
inside job. Mm-hmm.
It is. It truly is an inside job, and it's so hard sometimes to be self-aware enough to see the piece, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if you really think about it, right, like as the week went on, at times we were aware of how off we were, but for the majority of it, we really weren't. We really thought we were okay and just pushing through. For you, it was what, Thursday, I think, that you recognized it. And by the end of the day, Thursday, before I went live, I felt like I got ran over by a freaking train, right? And for some reason, I still went live, which I shouldn't have. And then last night, I was just done. Like I was done on all three levels.
Yeah.
And, for me to sleep 8.5 hours is like, that's like the sky's falling. It's
Yeah.
like, it's crazy. Like my body's not used to that. And it's just a lot. I must have just been fried.
Yeah.
I get it. I mean, it's we all have our cruxes and our kryptonite and what can pull us apart very easily. And I think we all have the one area that can really drag us down.
Yeah.
Um, Maybe because I'm so emotionally guarded in a lot of ways, and not, I'm still not 100% true to my. Like I
Mm-hmm.
still maybe that's why it doesn't affect me the same way.
Mm-hmm.
Mental thing is really that really screws me up because I'm such an overthinker that if I start down that tube, then I'm just gonna keep going. Like I find that funnel and I just spin around for years.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's crazy. Um, but I mean, overall, it was a good week. It didn't mean it was a bad week. It just meant that it was just a very draining week.
Yeah.
And I think at some point, each one of us just has to look at the little triggers that started setting it off, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
go and analyze it.
Yeah.
For you, it's as simple as a phone call, right? Just as simple as answering a phone.
It was this week for sure. Yeah.
And
What
not the
something
only one.
that you just said made me think of, oh, you were saying like to analyze it like
Mhm.
at the end of the week. So I did this online like retreat thing this week. It was like a spiritual retreat and lots of different people talking about um just all sorts of things, meditation and um just all along the lines of what we talk about consistently. But one of the things that I thought was really interesting, I'm trying to find it in my notes. This woman was saying how, oh, here we go. So in the morning, she sets intentions when she wakes up every morning and allows her that self-care thing that we're talking about. Just what would bring me my most pleasure today and like my highest good, like what can I do for myself today to put me in a good place. But then at the end of the day,
Getting a same
she
trip ticket? No. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
wait, what?
Getting a same day round trip ticket. Go ahead.
So today,
Anyway,
for at the end of the day, she talks about stuff like gratitude journaling and setting intentions, all of the stuff that we know to do to be doing the work to make sure that we maintain balance. But something that I hadn't heard of that I really liked was kind of taking inventory at the end of the day and saying, um, these are the things throughout the day that didn't go my way or didn't go, let's just say ideally, that weren't ideal. And giving yourself grace about it, but also, well, how did she say it? Rewrite it in your head as if it did go the right way. Like rewrite it and experience the feeling of what it would have felt like if it had gone the right way, so that you're not going to bed with those negative feelings in your heart, basically. So like it's releasing, basically. So as you go throughout your, at night, you go through and you give gratitude for things, and you give appreciation for all those things. But then when you hit the negatives, to acknowledge the negative things, but and then don't sit in that negative feeling. Rewrite it and like I would do this differently or whatever. But then take it a step further. Instead of just I would do this differently, allow yourself to feel what it would feel like if you had done it differently, so that you don't go to bed with those negative, regretful, whatever feelings. You go like, because we're writing the code in our, we're writing our DNA, we're writing the code every single day. And so rather than waiting for the end of the week to take evaluation every single day, just say, these are the things that didn't actually go my way, and this is what I would have done differently, and follow it all the way through to feeling what it would feel like if it had gone better. I just had never heard of anybody going that far with it.
yes, Toronto. Um, I, I think for me, I mean, as I'm sitting here yawning, right, like crazy, I just slept the most hours overnight that I have in a long time, and I'm still yawning at the end of the day. And I drank a decent amount of coffee today too. So, um, I, I don't think the end of the day works for me because I'm
Yeah.
such an overthinker. I might not sleep.
Yeah,
Like
that's
it's,
fair.
I think for me, right, knowing myself and how my mind gets out of control, if I did that every night, I really would just, I think it would burn me out faster.
That's fair. So is that something you could do every morning?
Well, I mean, every morning I do my gratitudes, I do my intentions, I do other writing, and then I do reading, and then I meditate, I pray, I exercise. I
I'm
mean,
thinking it doesn't have to be it doesn't have to be an hour long process, but for me, waiting until the end of the week to take inventory, that's how I hit the wall. Then it's like, well, wait a second. I didn't check in with myself enough to know that I'm allowing this toxic behavior to continue until it's too late, and it takes me days to recover.
I don't know. I mean, maybe I'd have to look at that. I mean,
Because
because
maybe you wouldn't have hit the wall on Thursday if you were able to kind of recognize the behavior that was leading you in that direction beforehand. I don't know.
I don't know either. I mean, I'm really thinking about it, right? I guess I think in some ways I do that, right? I don't do it completely, but when something really sticks out, nobody can obsess over it like me.
That is the truth. You are the king overthinker. And maybe it's just a thing, maybe you do it immediately, maybe as you're processing, and when you get to past the point of, when you get to the point where you recognize that you're overthinking something, maybe that immediately you do it instead of at the end of the day. Hold on, this did not go the way I wanted it to go. I would have done this differently, and allow yourself to experience what it would feel like if you had done it differently.
I'm just trying to think if I kind of do that though.
Maybe you do.
I mean, I beat myself up pretty quick. Like there's no hesitation here.
There is a difference. We're not talking about beating yourself up, Mike. That's not what we're talking about doing.
I'm wondering if that's kind of the same now. Because I mean, because you're on the other end of some of those phone calls, right? So a lot. No, not most. I mean, I do it all the time, and it's not always you. That just explains how often I do it. I have a circle
every day.
I have a circle for a reason, and I need to spread this out. So everybody thinks it's a lot, but if they all knew the other side, really bad.
Funny.
Like, I think trying to think. Like by the end of the call, when we talk about something like that, don't I usually bounce back a little and reframe it, or you reframe it, or somebody reframes it a little bit after I'm done whining and bitching and moaning and obsessing?
Yeah, so, but I don't know if it goes so far. That my whole point in that was, are you experiencing it? Are you letting yourself go all the way to the point where you don't regret it? And I think that that's something that we struggle with. I know it's something that you struggle with, not regretting it. That the point here is not that you don't, like, yeah, we're processing it. We're, what if things had gone differently, or next time I'm going to do this differently. We do that 100%. The question is, do we get all the way to the point where we're not regretting it and we don't carry that energy with us afterwards? And I think that that's not, neither of us do that. We carry the energy with us. And so we have to figure out how to let it go.
I research about meditation.
Yeah.
Set attention as you go to sleep.
Yeah, I definitely do that.
I do sometimes. I mean, the manifestation I definitely do for others. Very good at that.
Yeah.
I set yourself up to manifest. Setting an intention. I kind of do that before sleeping too, right? Because right before I go to bed, I pray, which it is what it is, right? I don't have a religion that I really speak of, so me praying is interesting. It's not typical praying. But it's more just asking for guidance, right? Like from my guides and from my spirit, everything else that's around me.
Mm-hmm.
And then also just showing me signs, right? Which apparently has been working more that I think about it actually. Because I always see when I first wake up what I need to see most.
Yeah.
Based on what I need for that day or what I went through the previous day. Set an intention for the day, yeah, meditation, reflect at the end of the day. Yeah, I mean, the reflecting at the end of the day, I definitely don't do. I mean, that's something that maybe I should think about because I'm wondering because I'm not, I think what you were leading to is I'm not releasing it, right? And that's where I'm not getting to. I got the overanalyzing part pretty good. Like that I got.
You're a pro. You should go pro and overanalyze.
I should. And I figure out the trigger, which is always good too. Which helps, right? So I learned not how to trigger myself again. The releasing and forgiving and not having regrets afterward is something that I'm definitely missing or not doing enough of. I think if the circumstance, I'm definitely not releasing it. No, I can't say anything, but I'm not releasing it.
Yeah.
Just not. It's interesting though. I never looked at it that way. Like, I mean, yeah, that's a piece I'm missing because
one of the things that she said that stuck with me was your vibration is where you last left it at every spot of the day. So, yeah, And so she was like, it's really important to transmute those points of the day that are negative, because otherwise we stay in that negative place. Our energy stays in that negative space.
That I get. I practice that very well. Um, I feel like, okay, so that goes back to releasing too, right? Because that goes back to
Yeah.
transferring a negative to a positive and how I would have done it different. And then what do I
Yeah.
feel like if I did it different?
Yeah.
Because it immediately flips your vibration upside
Because
down.
if the only thing we do is say, I would have done this differently, this is what I'll do next time, that's still a negative place. That's a place of regret.
Yes.
So we have to kind of be able to rewrite it, have gratitude for the learning experience that created, and then rewrite it in our hearts and brains and souls, so that we don't leave it, we don't stay in that negative place.
Huh. I never looked at it that way. I
Me
mean,
neither. Me neither. This I took 4 pages of notes during this one woman's talk. Her name was Cheryl Jones, I think.
Cheryl.
There were a lot of great ones, but hers was one of my favorite.
Holy shit. Ugh. Can't stop yawning. I need these kids to go to bed.
Look at the way this is glowing.
I know, it's pretty impressive. It's all the Alexa lights. I've always overanalyzed.
She's overanalyzing.
Uh,
Mm. What do you think that is?
what, the reason of having to know?
Yeah.
I think because the unknown is scary. I
Yeah.
think the unknown terrifies us, right?
Yeah.
We we all really want to know some type of finite answer. In every aspect of our lives have some type of clear cut definite answer, right? Like I would take a negative answer over sitting in the unknown
Mm.
and freaking out over it on a minutely or secondly basis.
Yeah.
Uh, like I mean, and I've really tried to do that to myself, put myself in negative places just to come to a negative result, so that I didn't have to wait. Because again, I love that patience idea.
Mm.
Um, but at the end of the day, I think that's getting better too, in a lot of ways. And I think that's evolving as I'm continuing to evolve through this process. And I'm getting a little bit better with the unknown. It still
Yeah.
irks me quite a bit.
Yeah.
And it really depends on the circumstance, because some unknowns I'm perfectly fine with. Like I'm just okay. Doesn't
Yeah.
bother me. But it depends on when the unknown, which unknown comes into play, because my mind will twist it, turn it, spin it, and want this, creating scenarios to come up with solutions that might be realistic, might not. There's a problem. We can't know
We're
everything,
not
and
supposed to. Yeah. We aren't supposed to. You're right.
I want to know everything. Anyway, I think it's more of a deep-rooted issue, right? Like when I was a kid and I used to ask my parents why,
Yeah.
um, it wasn't a good result.
When you asked why.
Yeah, when I asked why, who, what, when, where, how, right? Like I wanted some type of concrete information about any situation or circumstance. Now, as I've gotten older, I learned to stick to things that I got a finite answer. And when I come across things that I get that uncomfortable feeling, rather than asking why not, how, whatever it is to get a finite answer, I usually avoid it.
Mm.
And I don't want to deal with it because I don't know what the cost is of doing that.
Mm.
Really not. Oh, I guess I should just post it, right? So you could read it too.
Yeah.
See, since you can't read them, yeah. As I'm sitting here just reading, oh, I think I shut that too fast. Um,
Yeah.
it's there's a bigger part to all this, right? Like I think as we get more comfortable within ourselves, and as we get more secure and feel more value and worth, um, we don't need to know as much because we know we'll overcome whatever it is.
Yeah.
I think as we're growing those areas and still evolving those areas and trying to find our best selves and truest selves, well, our truest self, because our best self is all we can ever be. Um, we still yearn for those answers, and we still are going to ask open-ended questions. We're going to, create scenarios to create answers, whether it's a positive or a negative, just to get an answer.
Mm-hmm.
Um, we don't live in the moment. Hmm. Oh, is that the last one she just said? Oh no, this is a little bit different. It's
This is
longer.
different, yeah.
Yeah, this is longer. Uh,
You are tired, mister.
oh my God, I'm
You're
full.
fading fast.
I am like, geez, I need these kids sleeping. Um, yeah, but I think it's all part of it, right? Like, I feel like anxiety it really does stem from the unknown, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like when I was getting anxious about the court date, it was not about the court date. It was because I didn't know what the result was going to be. And as soon as I had faith and I really believed that it was just going to work itself out, it alleviated all that pressure. Oh, wrong one. This one. Yes.
Yes, 100% we're programmed. Yep.
Between being how we're raised, between school, between everything else, you know, if society keeps us in an anxious spot, if it keeps us in a weak spot, it it keeps society status quo. And the minute status quo is broken, uh, I
Yes.
am just being. It's just a very tired being. I'm not going to bed before my 3-year-old. This is a war of resilience, okay?
War of the Wills.
It is, and I'm not going to lose to a 3-year-old. I'll feel very overwhelmed if that happens.
Just go
Um,
crawl in bed with her. She'll fall asleep with you.
I won't get out of bed. That's a guarantee at this point. I'm done if that happens. Yeah, I'm going to bed soon. I'm going to bed real soon. But I think it's all part of it, and programming and having to know answers and always being told no when we asked for answers as kids, and then also asking your teacher for an answer, or why do you need to know that? Like it's none of your business. Stick to what you're supposed to know, right? They rip
Right.
out our curiosity, and when they rip out our curiosity, then they're also increasing our lack of interest in being curious and willing to accept the unknown. Because the reality is, if we trust ourselves and we have faith in ourselves and we have faith in what we're doing, we have faith in those around us, then we're going to be fine.
Yeah.
And as people, it's hard to do that. Oh, I'm falling. I'm done.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're calling it because I just lean back and I might just fall asleep on this actually at this rate. It would cut me out. I think it would cut me off after 4 hours though.
Good
So
chat. Good chat. I challenge you to take inventory of your day and to rewrite the negative stuff so you can let it go.
I am gonna start that tomorrow.
Maybe you'll just fall asleep doing it. You're so
I'm
tired.
gonna fall asleep, but before doing it, like it might come to the point where they literally just cut the live off because I'm sleeping, snoring on YouTube.
Yeah, yeah. Let's
We're
let's
gonna
let's
Rhonda,
go before that happens.
Rhonda, I appreciate you. Thank you so much as always. See you tomorrow night. And Kelly, thank you so much. This was a good conversation.
This was good.
72 yawns later, but we got through it. We did
We
it.
did. Good
Bye, everyone.
night.
Oops, I hit a comment again. This is good. Keep hitting comments, Mike.